Welcome to the Speak Your Piece podcast. My name is Ian McNaughton, Big E. Thank you very much for joining. We're recording this on Friday, April 17th. We're in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia. It's a beautiful sunny day. And this is our 2026 Stanley Cup Playoffs preview, part one, round one. We're doing at least a round one preview. I'll give my predictions for who I think is going to win the Stanley Cup. Who is going to play for the Stanley Cup. I'll have that later on in the show. But it's great to be back doing playoff pods, doing hockey previews. This is what I live for. This is what gets me out of bed in the morning. It's the fact that I get to discuss the Stanley Cup playoffs. I want to say there's no better sporting event than the Stanley Cup playoffs, except for that it does drag out a little bit at the end. Like, the first round is incredible. The first round slaps. There's nothing better than just watching nonstop playoff hockey for like a month, 2 months. It's great. It's gorgeous. Again, recording this on Friday morning, so we now know the series. I have some previews written down. I don't really give a shit about the Kings and the Avalanche. I'm going to be straight up about that. That shouldn't even be a series. The Kings are not very good, and the Avalanche are really good. But we're going to go through every series. I'm going to talk about some storylines, some things to know, players to watch, all that sort of stuff. I'm really excited for this. And if you are new to the show, if you haven't listened, you can subscribe on our YouTube channel. The full video pod is on our YouTube channel. This is a sidebar. I'm thinking about doing a little challenge for the YouTube to get some more subscribers. I'm going to announce that probably in a couple weeks here because we have another announcement coming in about early May. So watch out for that. You can listen to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, we're going to be there. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Instagram at SYP Pod. So I can't wait to see all the new people come. Check us out. We're going to be doing some good playoff content here over the next few months, so it should be exciting. Let's dive into it. So we know the first round matchups in the playoffs, in the Stanley Cup playoffs. First round matchups include the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Montreal Canadiens, the Philadelphia Flyers and the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Boston Bruins and the Buffalo Sabres, the Ottawa Senators and the Carolina Hurricanes. That rounds out your Eastern Conference. In the West, you have Minnesota playing Dallas, Utah playing Vegas, Colorado playing the Kings, and Edmonton playing Anaheim. That is your Western Conference bracket. So, with that being said, let's dive into it. I'm going to start with the Eastern Conference matchups and then discuss the Western Conference matchups after. So I'm going to get right into Tampa Bay, Montreal. Tampa Bay and Montreal, they are two of the more exciting teams, I think, in maybe even hockey, but certainly the Eastern Conference. Tampa Bay, as we all know, they won 2 cups. They won in the bubble tournament in 2020. They won in 2021. In 2021, they beat Montreal. So this is a rematch of the 2021 Stanley Cup Finals. Obviously, Tampa Bay won that in 5 games. That wasn't really all that close of a series. Tampa Bay was just a much better team. That Montreal team was not that good. But how things have changed. Fast forward 5 years later, Tampa Bay still really good. Tampa Bay still making the playoffs. Montreal, a lot better than they were 5 years ago. They are way more exciting. A lot of young players have come in and changed this organization. Now, I want to give credit especially to Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki, who were on that 2021 team and now are the leaders this time around. Now they're kind of the older guys with a little bit of experience, a bit more leadership maybe from those guys. And then you combine that with the Lane Hudsons, the Ivan Demidovs, the Uri Slafkovskys. Montreal is a really fun team. Like I don't think I've mentioned enough, and I think everybody who's in hockey probably has, of just how fun this Habs team is. they seem to have goaltending figured out, and I'm knocking on wood here, putting an asterisk on this, because for Montreal, their biggest issue is the goaltending. Sam Montembeault has not been the guy; he hasn't stepped up. But the question with Montreal, I guess, then is Jacob Dobish ready to step up for Montreal? He played 3 games in the postseason last year. He went 1-2. He started 2 of those games. He had an .881 save percentage the last postseason. Obviously not great. This time in the regular season, Dobish started 41 games, had a 29-9-4 record. He had a .903 save percentage. And he's the guy who's leading Montreal. It's Dobish who's leading Montreal into the postseason. And if he falters or if he struggles for any reason, I think they go to Jacob Fowler. And Jacob Fowler is the young hotshot goalie who I believe played at Northeastern. I think he was a Northeastern kid. And he's going to be the one I would think to fill in Dobish's shoes if he can't go. So that's where, for Montreal, I mean, they're probably the underdogs in this series, considering Tampa has home ice. Tampa has won a couple cups, albeit, there's no Steven Stamkos, there's no Mikhail Sergachev. They're missing a couple of those guys from those cup teams. But I still love, Tampa Bay's chances to win. And I even like Montreal's chances. I think Montreal is just a really fun team. They have a lot of confidence right now. They seem to really enjoy playing hockey. They have guys who can, score. They have guys who can be physical. Like Arvid Xhekaj, Bolduc's on the team. So many. Montreal can beat you in so many different ways. They're extremely complete. I really like Montreal, and it might be obvious to say, but I think whoever wins this series is going to beat Buffalo. And spoiler, I have Buffalo beating Boston, but I think whoever wins this series is going to the Eastern Conference and maybe the Stanley Cup Finals. This is the. If you can survive this, you have a pretty solid pathway of getting to the finals. I don't think that's absurd. I really don't. I think the other thing we should talk about in this series is Tampa Bay. And sometimes I just wonder if we're overthinking the Lightning. They have experience. They have a top goalie in Andrei Vasilevskiy. They have elite players. It's part of just keeping it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. And I think that's what sometimes we forget to think about when it comes to this sort of stuff. We a lot of us like Montreal because it's a young hotshot team. They got a lot of different guys. I just mentioned them earlier. But Tampa kind of has the same thing. They have Hagel. They have Cirelli. They have, even a Nick Paul. Braden, they have their guys. They have their dudes. John Cooper, obviously, is a tremendous head coach. He's going up against Marty St. Louis, former Lightning player. I'm so curious to see how this goes. I think Montreal is going to win. I have Montreal winning in 7 over the Lightning. I think it's going to be that close. I think it's going to be an exceptional series. My guy to watch on Montreal is probably Caulfield. He is the big name when it comes to Montreal. And when you get to the playoffs, your top guys have to be your top guys. I know it's a cliche, but your top guys have to be your top guys. Cole Caulfield, 50-goal scorer. I think he scored the most goals in a season since Vincent Damphousse. He's the first 40-goal scorer in Montreal history in 30 years. Nobody has scored. Carey Price never had a 50-goal scorer, never had a 40-goal scorer. So Caulfield is the guy I think to watch for. Obviously in the playoffs you want to have depth, you want to have guys from all over your lineup scoring, but your top guys have to be your top guys. And Cole Caulfield is the top guy on Montreal. And credit to Nick Suzuki, obviously he's really good. But if Montreal needs a goal at any point in the series. Watch out for Caulfield. I'm probably going to say the guy to watch on Tampa for me is Victor Hedman. He's a little bit older. He's got a bit more mileage under his belt compared to 5 years ago when he was winning a Conn Smythe. He is still a great defenseman. He's not terrible by any means, but Hedman is going to have a lot to juggle with, and there's 3 lines for Montreal, maybe even 4 lines if you really, love the Habs' depth. That can mess with you, and they can beat you in different ways. Whether, you have the Gallaghers and the Andersons, or you have, Caulfield and Suzuki. There's guys who could beat you in multiple different ways, and I think Hedman, if he's still going to be on the top pair, he's going to have a lot to handle, and I'm curious to see how he does it. I'm curious to see how he keeps up with this Habs team. Montreal, I think, is going to want to make this a track race, a track meet. Tampa Bay, probably not. Tampa Bay is going to want to slow it down. We'll see how it goes. But I have Montreal beating Tampa Bay in 7 games. So there you go. There's my Montreal Tampa Bay take. Let's go to the Metro. Let's go to the Metro, and we're going to discuss the Philadelphia Flyers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Folks, this isn't as bad as Kings Avalanche in terms of non-competitiveness, but I think it's going to be close. I think the Penguins are going to mop the floor with the Flyers. I might be disrespecting, I might be hating on the Flyers a little too much. That's okay. I think unless Philadelphia either shows up or outkicks their coverage on special teams, which they haven't so far this year. Philadelphia is a bad power play team and a bad penalty kill team. Philadelphia is at their best on 5-on-5. So if they can stay on 5-on-5, maybe they figure it out on one side or both sides of special teams. I doubt it. But if the Flyers can play 5-on-5 hockey better than the Penguins, leave it to Dan Vladar to, shut the lights out as he has for most of the season, then I think you can convince me that the Flyers have a shot at winning this. But I just don't see that happening. I'm not betting against Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang in what could be their last dance. I'm just not. I think those guys are too talented. They're too good. They're too smart. They have been better than Philadelphia this season. So in the 4 games that they've played, Philly's wins have come in a shootout against Pittsburgh. It's the Flyers have 2 wins over the Penguins this season, and both were in a shootout. That's it, and again, it's playoff hockey. There are no shootouts, and overtime's 5-on-5. I just don't see this working out for the Flyers. They both are actually relatively similar in 5-on-5 expected goals for percentage. Pittsburgh is at 51%. That's 12th in the league. Philly's at 50.6. That's 13. So, they're pretty close in 5-on-5 hockey. It's just if the Flyers get into any sort of penalty kill, if they get on the power play, I just don't like their chances. The Flyers' keys to success are to avoid special teams, keep the game close. You can't get run out of the building, especially in Pittsburgh early in the series, and you hope for some goalie and puck luck. That's the key to success for the Flyers. Pittsburgh, I think, has surprised us for sure. I don't think any of us thought that Pittsburgh would be getting home ice in the first round of the playoffs, but here they are. Again, they have Sidney Crosby, they have Evgeny Malkin, they have Chris Letang. Kind of going back to what I said in Tampa Bay, Montreal, you need your top guys to be your top guys. And I think Pittsburgh has better top guys, and I think Pittsburgh is going to be just running Philadelphia all over the place. I just don't see it being that close. Now, granted, if you want to make an argument that, Stu Skinner, who has not, he hasn't really had early postseason success, if that makes sense. He struggles at the start of the playoffs. If you want to say that he's going to falter and that's going to cost the Penguins, I could see that. That could happen. I do like Artur Shilov's if he needs to come in, I think that's a guy Pittsburgh trusts, and they can rely on him. But I just don't see the Flyers doing it. I really don't. I think this has been, in the same way that it's been a fun story for both teams, I think it's been a really good story for the Flyers in that, hey, they got a new coach. Trevor Zegras is a guy. They might have something with Vladar as a short-term bridge goalie. They have some decent kids. Like, I don't really know what Philly's kind of future holds, but hey, they made the playoffs this year. It's going to be unfortunate that they lose to the Penguins, and it's not very close. But, it's at least a stepping stone for, whatever comes next in the Flyers organization. So, I have the Pittsburgh Penguins defeating the Philadelphia Flyers in 5 games. It's a gentleman's sweep. That's what I have with the Penguins and the Flyers. Moving on to the Boston Bruins and the Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres won the Atlantic Division for the first time, I think since 2011. This is a interesting matchup. The Sabres haven't made the playoffs obviously in forever, right? We'll get that out of the way. The Sabres broke the playoff streak. They did it. They're here. They have home ice. They won their division. I think there are some expectations for them. I think they should be able to beat Boston. Like, theoretically, they should beat the Bruins. The Bruins have not really been anything special this year. The Bruins have been very okay. Like, they've been hovering around a bubble spot, like a bubble, wild card spot all year. I don't think anybody really thought they were on the level of Montreal or Tampa. I don't think anybody thought they were as bad as like Toronto and the Rangers. But the Bruins did enough. They have enough top guys, and they got a playoff spot. Now they got to go play Buffalo in the first round. The guy I'm watching for the Sabres is, I guess it's Tage, but I mean, it's a little bit Owen Power. Like, I feel like Owen Power is kind of this weird, like, it's not that they dislike him, it's just he's not Dahlin, and he's not like Mattias Samuelsson, who's had a really good year. I think people from Buffalo would tell you how good Mattias Samuelsson's been, but it's Owen Power. It's kind of like this third option, and he's not a bad third option. It's just, okay, is he going to be somebody that they use in a shutdown setting? Is he going to be used for offense? I'm curious to see how he matches up with the Bruins, and that's not just for Owen Power, because a lot of guys are making their playoff debuts for the Sabres. But the Sabres are going to not only go into the playoffs cold, like not a lot of playoff experience, they're going against the Boston Bruins, who the Bruins are never a fun matchup in any playoff series. Like, the Bruins will find ways to fuck your shit and to mess you up, and that's not fun for anybody. Now, maybe that's a good entry point for the Sabres. Of they're kind of just jumping into the deep end of, all right, we have to go play the Boston Bruins, and we're gonna go play in the Garden in the postseason. That's not easy. That's not fun, but it's what, why not? Just get it out of the way. You win this, and then you're gonna be playing Tampa Bay or Montreal. That's not an easy matchup, but for different reasons. So the Sabres are fascinating, and I have them beating the Bruins in 7 games. Like, I think it's going to be a close series, and that's partially because I'm curious to see how. I mean, Morgan Geekie is kind of my sneaky guy to watch, who I think he's almost got 30, if not 40 goals this year for the Bruins. Like, the Bruins, I think, have more top-end guys. Like, they have Pasta. They have Charlie McAvoy. They have Jeremy Swayman. Those are real, legitimate dudes. And I just, for the Sabres, their best guy is Alex Tuck. or not Tuck, but it's Tage Thompson, and then you get to Alex Tuck, and then you get to Darlene, and it might be Darlene is the best Saber, and maybe we're underrating Darlene a little bit. Maybe I'm underrating Darlene a little bit, but the Bruins just have top guys, and I've seen them in this situation before, and yeah, I it's hard for me to go against that, but guy to watch for the Bruins, Morgan Geekie. Geek Squad. We'll see how that goes. If he can be, continuing his hot hand with Pasta against the Bruins defense and sneaky good Bruins goaltending. Though the Bruins will, or the Sabres goaltending is actually not that bad, but it's just a matter of who's going to be starting night one. So we'll see. Sabres over Bruins in 7. Maybe a hot take. Finally, the last matchup that I want to discuss in the Eastern Conference is Carolina playing Ottawa. This is like a real analytical series. Like I feel like the nerds are going to love this one. I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be closer than people think. Probably in the same way that I think Buffalo and Boston are going to be closer than people think. But it's the first time these teams have ever met in the postseason, which is crazy. They're not far off, really, goals against this year. Like, Carolina's given up 236 goals. Ottawa's given up 244. And the big thing we talk about with Ottawa is their goaltending. The team seems a little off. I think Ottawa's... We've all talked about Ottawa in the way of, like, hey, if they could just figure out goaltending or they could just figure out this, that, then they're going to be a good team. I don't know that they have figured it out. I think they've just been better than the Red Wings or the Capitals or the Blue Jackets. Like, they just haven't been total dog shit, and that's why the Senators have taken this last playoff spot. But like, Carolina obviously likes to play a certain way. They're going to pepper goalies with shots. That might be their key to success. Like, if depending on who's in net, if Carolina's just firing away, it might be a quick series. Like, there might not be a lot of defending going on for Ottawa because they're just giving up goals. Like, it's possible. But I think Ottawa is talented enough that it doesn't go that way. Like, I think the Sens can score quite a bit too. I want to say for Carolina, they maybe don't have as much concern in net, but they're going to be going with, you would assume, Brandon Bussey, and he hasn't played in the playoffs. Like, he's coming into this also not experienced in a playoff series. I mean, so he's my player to watch for the Hurricanes, which is kind of obvious, but he hasn't been here before, and he is now expected to lead a team that has continually fallen short of expectations. So maybe he's the guy who can get them to the promised land. I don't know. Like, I'm curious to see, why not if you're the Hurricanes? It's been working this regular season. Go with it in the postseason. For Ottawa, my guide to watch is, I'll say Stützle, because I think he can really, I think he has a chance to dominate in this series. Like, I'm curious to see how he matches up with Aho. It's I don't know. It's a fun, like sneaky good, like, this matchup and then that matchup, and how's this guy going to go up against this guy? Like, it's a fun little series of just, like, stuff you haven't considered or stuff you hadn't thought about now, coming head on, I guess, if you want to say. My other thing I'm curious about with Carolina is if Ottawa decides to be just full of shithousery, do we see Nick Delorier in this series? And I don't think you will. I think Rod Brennamore wants to play his game. I think he wants to play his style. But, Delorier's played 7 games with Carolina this year. He's been up in the press box for most of the year. Their fourth-line wingers are William Carrier, who's played 70 games this year, and Eric Robertson, who's played 66 games this year. So, like, Carolina has their guys. They have their lineup. They have their team that they like. I'm just curious if Ottawa decides to, go with the, well, if you can't beat them up mentality. Does that mean Nick Delorier gets a spot in the playoff game? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if they're gonna try, if they want to try something in game one just to see if it becomes a thing. But I think then you're going into Ottawa. You're playing into Ottawa's hands a little too much instead of playing into your own hands. But just something to keep an eye out on. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying, hey, this is just something to watch in the in this postseason. I have the Hurricanes over the Sens in 6 games. So that is my final prediction in the postseason. So I have Habs over Lightning at 7. Guys to watch in that, Caulfield. Guy to watch on Tampa Bay, Hedman. I have the Pens over the Flyers in 5. Guy to watch on Pittsburgh. I mean, I'm going with Skinner because, hopefully he can show up and he can perform well. Guy to watch on the Flyers, probably Zegras because they've leaned on him quite a bit. It's probably, Trevor Zegras. Although Travis Konechny, that's a guy I want on my team. Maybe not the top guy, but that's a guy I want on my team in a playoff series. So Travis Konechny, guy to watch on Philly. I have the Sabres over the Bruins in 7. I have Owen Power as my guy to watch for Buffalo. Morgan Geekie is my guy to watch for Boston. And then Hurricanes over Sens in 6. Got to watch on Carolina is Brandon Bussey. And then got to watch for Ottawa's Tim Stützle. I think my favorite series, the one that I'm most interested in that conference, is Montreal and Tampa Bay. Because that feels not quite, but very similar to Minnesota-Dallas. And that I can't believe one of these teams has to get eliminated in the first round. That just seems silly. That seems ridiculous. So, to give you my full predictions then for the Eastern Conference, I have the Habs beating the Sabres in 6. I have the Hurricanes beating the Pens in 7. I think that's a sneaky close series. And then I have the Hurricanes over the Habs at 7. So I have the Hurricanes playing Montreal in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then I have Carolina going to the Stanley Cup Finals. I think I had Carolina at the beginning of the year going to the Stanley Cup Finals, although I think I said they were going to be playing like Toronto or something because my stupid hot take was that, they got rid of Marner, so now Toronto should be better, but they need to get rid of Matthews and Marner to win a cup. And I still kind of believe that, but they're taking the long way to get there. But there you go. So there's my Eastern Conference predictions. Should be a really good series in really all of these. I'm especially interested in Montreal, Tampa, Boston, Buffalo, Philly, and Pittsburgh. I just don't think it'll be that close, although it's a battle of Pennsylvania, so you should be tuning in. And then Carolina, Ottawa, it should be Carolina winning. Although, I think Ottawa is they have a good core. I just don't know what to make of them this year. I just don't know what to make. I think they're almost in a way better than last year, but the Hurricanes from a first round matchup standpoint are better than the Leafs, I think. I don't know. I just wouldn't want to be, going into a playoff series with James Reimer as my starting goalie. That's my only thing. So, could be Allmark. Could be Reimer. Who knows? Let's talk about the Western Conference. We have, again, the Minnesota Wild playing the Dallas Stars, the Utah Mammoth playing the Vegas Golden Knights, Colorado Avalanche playing the LA Kings, and the Edmonton Oilers playing the Anaheim Ducks. So let's start with Dallas and Minnesota. I just mentioned them earlier. They're really close. This is a really close series, obviously. The Stars, I think, had 4 more wins than the Wild in the regular season. That's why the Stars are getting home ice advantage. This is really a series about who can get over their respective hump. In the way that the Stars have lost the last 3 Western Conference Finals. They're trying to get over that hump. They're trying to get into the finals. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Wild haven't been to the second round since 2015. The Wild have not got over their hump. And this is the best chance for the Wild to not only get to the second round, but even further, beyond that. Maybe they get to their own finals. Who knows? These teams are really close statistically. Dallas scored 5 more goals in the regular season than Minnesota. Dallas, I think, gave up 10 fewer goals than Minnesota. Like, they're really close. They each have a star goalie, and in Minnesota's case, you have 2 star goalies. I think both teams' defensive core is top heavy, although there's no Heiskanen. It sounds like for Dallas, so that's a problem. And then they all have guys who can score or be physical. Like these are 2 teams that will basically use the first, presumably 2 games, maybe even 3 games, as a just feeling out process. Trying to get to know your opponent, trying to scout them. And, I mean, they've already played 4 games this year. They split their season series 2-2. They obviously know each other. I'm just curious to see what kind of punches they bring in the postseason. In the same way, like when you're a boxer or you're an NFL team or whatever, like what's your counter? What's your zag? Like, okay, you did this thing, but what's your next thing? And what are you going to do a little differently? What's your little, your zag? What's your counter? What's your, hey, look here, and then you go that. Like, what's the thing that gets you over the hump? And God, I think these are 2 solid coaches. Glenn Gulutzan, John Hines. Gulutzan is in Dallas. John Hines is in Minnesota. Like, they're obviously 2 good head coaches, 2 GMs who, deserve a lot of credit for how they built their NHL team. God, like, it's so close. It is so tight. My guy to watch on Dallas, I have to say Jason Robertson. Like, that dude has a chip on his shoulder from not being at the Olympics. That guy has a real chip on his shoulder. I know the USA won gold, but he has a legitimate reason to be a little ticked off, and I'm curious to see if he takes it out on the Minnesota Wild and whoever steps in his way in the postseason. So I'm going to go with Jason Robertson. I think that's a guy who watch out. I don't want to be in the middle of his way. And then for Minnesota, I'm kind of thinking a little sneaky Brock Faber action for guy I'm curious to see, or curious to, player to watch. Faber has obviously done exceptionally well with Quinn Hughes coming to Minnesota. Like, the 2 of them are just insane. And I know nobody is Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes is his own guy. Quinn Hughes is his own beast. But, man, if Faber has a bit of a coming out party, and not to say that we haven't liked Brock Faber, like, I think most people in hockey think that Brock Faber is legit, and he's a quality, if not star, NHL defenseman in his own right. But you're pairing him with Hughes. Faber can score. Faber can also be the guy who's like, hey, we got to stop Jason Robertson, and you're the guy. Like, I'm curious to see how he performs, what his role in this series is. It's going to be close, man. It's going to be so freaking close. The other thing I'll throw out there is just, home ice mattered in the regular season series between these 2. 2 games the 2 games in Dallas this season, the Stars won. The 2 games in Minnesota this year, the Wild won. Dallas has home ice advantage. The Stars fans, I'll give a little bit of credit. They actually get into it. Like, I think the Stars have some underrated fans in Dallas, but I don't know. I'm probably going Dallas in 7, which feels chalk, which feels obvious. I think everybody's probably doing that. And, I do think there is a way that this ends sooner than that, and that's just some team just shocks everybody and, one team, like if Minnesota goes into Dallas 2-0, I wouldn't be surprised if the Wild win in 5. But I also could see the freaking Stars dropping the first 2 at home and then going into Minnesota and winning 2. Like, I don't know. It's so close. I'll take the Stars in 7. It's gonna be really close. It's gonna be really tight. Neither one of these teams should be eliminated in the first round. It's sad to see them both go after the first round. Let's move over to Vegas and Utah. Vegas hasn't lost in regulation since March 24th. I think I saw they're like 9-0-1 since Torts has taken over. And they're getting like 925 save percentage from their goalies in that time. I will say, in this series, no goalie has a regular season save percentage above 900. So you would think this is a shooter's delight, a scorer's delight. I don't know. I feel like, Vegas didn't even get to 40 wins this season. And they've obviously been there. They've done that. It's Vegas series to lose in a way. Like they have the hot streak, the new coach bump. They have guys who have been there before. They have guys who have done it. They've gotten better with Mitch being in the lineup this year. Although I still haven't figured out why Mitch was playing center. If he's still playing center, I guess they have that little depth at center. But this is really Vegas' series to lose. This is the Golden Knights series to lose. Like I think there would be a lot of finger pointing, a lot of questions to be answered if the Knights lose to the Utah Mammoth in the first round with home ice. Like, they have home ice advantage. Like, there's no reason why Utah should lose or should really. They could win it, but this is all favoring Vegas. Like, this is Vegas' series to lose. I'm not going to say they have better goaltending, but I think they have better top-end talent. I think they have, I don't know about a better coach, but they have a guy who's leading them on the charge right now, who's, got the team playing like they should be playing. So, yeah, I think I'm going Vegas, and I think I'm going to go Vegas in 5 on this one, but I don't know. Like, would I be shocked if Vegas lost the series? No, not entirely. I think, this has been a weird year for Vegas. Utah's kind of been like Boston this year, and they've been hovering around a wild card spot. They were never going to get into a central, top 3 spot because the central's obviously loaded. Utah, I think they're still missing a goalie. They obviously have some guys on the team. The guy I'm most excited to watch for Utah is Mikhail Sergachev. He seemed like a perfect piece for Utah since they relocated to SLC. I feel like most people in hockey know who Mikhail Sergachev is. For maybe there's some casual fans who don't and are tuning in for the first time and are like, oh wow, this guy's actually legit. Like, this guy's cool. So I'm curious to watch Sergachev, see how he mixes it up with the Vegas guys. And then the guy I guess I'm watching for on Vegas it's Mitch Marner. It has to be Mitch because he's in a new team, New Jersey. His game, clutch stats are terrible in Toronto. Can he now be a clutch guy in Vegas? If he can't be a clutch guy in Vegas, there's some problems. There's some issues. So if those two are matching up together, that's a really fun matchup to see how that goes. So I'm taking Vegas in 5. I feel like there's a lot of talk, maybe hoopla beforehand. Maybe when we actually get into the series and when the puck is dropped, it's a different story. But yeah, I have Vegas beating Utah in 5. Should be exciting. Should be great. Colorado versus LA. I don't really need to talk about this. Colorado won all 3 games against LA in the regular season. The Avalanche have so many better players than the Avalanche are better than the Kings at every position. More elite guys. Like, there's not even a conversation really to be had here. The Kings are going to get their butts kicked. It's not even going to be close. It's going to be 4, if not 5 games. Thank you for coming. thanks for ruining this, Ken Holland. I was gonna say, gotta watch on the Kings, I guess, is Quentin Byfield. We'll say, I guess, for shits and giggles. Like, Quentin's obviously good, but maybe this is the, how do I put this? If the Kings decide to make a drastic change this offseason, and who knows with Ken Holland, because Ken Holland's not the rebuilding type, maybe they move Byfield. Maybe they dangle Byfield out, see who's interested in taking on Quentin Byfield. I would love to have Quentin Byfield on my team. So, I don't know. I don't know if this is a showcase series. I don't know what you want to call it. I'm just saying. Just throwing stuff out there, maybe. But the Kings, I don't know. I don't know what the Kings have. I don't know what they're doing. They stink. They're not good. Just get this over with. Guy to watch on Colorado for me is Scott Wedgwood. I think Scott Wedgwood deserves some Vezina love if he hasn't gotten it already. I mean, I think Wedgwood is leading the team, or not even leading the team, leading the league in like save percentage and maybe goals against. So, I mean, it helps when you have a really good D-core like the Avs do. But it's Scott Wedgwood, like, assuming that he plays as well as he has. It's his series to lose. It's the Avs series to lose. He shouldn't lose this series. Don't let the Kings get into this, I guess is what I'll say. Don't let the Kings get hot. Don't let them be competitive in this. You're better than them. So many ways. Every way, essentially. Better head coach. Better goaltending. Better D-core. Better forwards. Better everything. I really should have taken notes down for this. How many guys do you think are better than the Kings' best player? How many Avalanche players are better than the Kings' best player? Like McKinnon, Makar. I think Natchez would be the best player on the Kings. Maybe Wedgwood. Although I guess we're assuming that the Kings' best player is Panarin. Maybe Kempe. Devon Taves, I think, would be the best player on the Kings. I don't know. I just think this is not even close, and I'm spending way too much time talking about this series. Anaheim and Edmonton. Oilers have home ice advantage, which helps, which is nice. I am kind of leaning towards Anaheim. I don't think the Oilers are that good. I just think they I know they have McDavid and Draisaitl, and my player to watch for the Oilers is Connor Ingram, because it has to be Connor Ingram, because if they don't have a good Connor Ingram performance in this series, they are hooped. And I'm not to say that I don't believe in Connor Ingram. I was joking, I remember at the beginning of the season when the Oilers got Connor Ingram, and I'm like, great, now Connor Ingram's going to lead them to the Stanley Cup Finals. I do, that's a half series. I think he could be the guy. I'm not doubting him for a second. So the Oilers just feel a bit flawed and a little too chaotic this time around. That's great that Evan Bouchard scored 90 points. Congrats to him. He's going to get his ass lit up by Cutter Gauthier once, if not twice, this series. And it's not even going to be close. It's going to be embarrassing. And then the Oilers are going to be like, well, but Bouchard's, got 90 points and he's incredible in the playoffs. I get that. But this guy can't defend. And neither can Nurse. Walman's had a tough year defensively. I don't know what, who's keeping the puck out of the net? Who's helping Ingram keep the puck out of the net, I guess is what I should say. Connor McDavid can't play defense. Leon Draisaitl can't play defense. Somebody's got to go fucking figure it out. And I think with Anaheim, I'm not a big Quenneville guy because of all the stuff with the Blackhawks, and it still lingers for me, and yeah, I don't need to get, I guess, too into that. But if we're just looking from a structure standpoint, from a team game standpoint, I think this is about right for the Ducks. They finished with 90 points. They, finish third in a rather weak division. I think that's about right for the Ducks team this year. I think that all checks out. They have the goaltending and Dostal, who he should do well enough. I think the Ducks defenders are fine. I think they'll do their best. They'll handle their own against the Oilers, and I think the forwards will be okay. Like I think the Ducks will do it. I mean, I don't know that you can ever contain McDavid or Draisaitl, but I think if there's somebody who can kind of minimize them and minimizing their opponents while maximizing their own game, I think the Ducks are a good team to do so. It's a change for the Oilers. They don't have to play LA. They don't have to play Vegas yet in an early round setting. Maybe in the next round Edmonton does. But I don't know. I think the Ducks should be able to handle the Oilers. And I think play a team game that the Oilers don't and really haven't. And they're going to be behind the eight ball, I feel like. Now, it'll help that the Oilers have home ice advantage. They get to start the series in Edmonton, which is good. It's just if the Ducks steal one in Edmonton, I think then there's going to be a few questions going around. But don't count the Oilers until they're actually out. My guy to watch on Edmonton, Connor Ingram, obviously. My guy to watch on Anaheim. Also Jackson Lacombe out there. I think Jackson Lacombe has played a tremendous game with the Ducks this year. He's had a tremendous season. Probably not getting enough credit that he deserves. And, he is going to be a guy I think that can step up and put some pucks in some nets, make some plays, help the Ducks when they need it. I'm going to go Jackson Lacombe as a guy who I think can be a dude who can be a real impact player for Anaheim this postseason. So, and give me the Ducks in 6. I'm going to take the Ducks in 6. They win the series at home, and they knock out the Oilers, which probably for the Oilers is the best thing that could happen to them, so they can fire Stan Bowman and start over again and recoup maybe some assets. So there you go. So I have, to recap the West, I have Dallas in 7. Player to watch on Dallas, Jason Robertson. Player to watch in Minnesota, Brock Faber. Vegas in Utah. My player to watch on Vegas is Mitch Marner. He's going to be playing, playoff hockey, not in a Maple Leafs jersey. Hopefully works out for him. Player to watch on Utah, Mikhail Sergachev. And then Colorado and LA. Colorado really, that game should be a best of 5. That's got to be like a 3-game win for the Avs, but because we're going to play 4 games, Colorado wins in 4. Player to watch on Colorado, Scott Wedgwood. Player to watch on LA. Who did I say for LA? Trying to think. Did I say Panarin? Panarin's a guy to watch on LA. I don't know. Maybe even Kopitar, because this is Kopitar's last run. So what a disappointing way for Kopitar to end his career. And then Edmonton and Anaheim, I have the Ducks winning in 6 games. Got to watch on Edmonton, Connor Ingram. Got to watch on Anaheim, Jackson Lacombe. All right. So in the West, I have then Anaheim beating Edmonton. They are going to play, I believe it's Vegas in the next round. They would play. So Anaheim would play Vegas, and then Colorado would play Dallas. I have Colorado beating Dallas. I have Vegas beating Anaheim, and then I have Colorado beating Vegas. Colorado would beat Dallas, I'm going to say, in 7 games. Colorado would beat Vegas in 5. I have Vegas beating Anaheim in 6. So there you go. There's my Western Conference. I have Colorado playing Carolina in the Stanley Cup Finals. And then I have the Carolina Hurricanes losing to the Colorado Avalanche. I'm going very chalk here. I have Colorado winning in 5 over Carolina. I just think Colorado's they've been the best team all year. They are talented enough. They can get the job done. Although I would be shocked if Colorado again loses in the second round to Dallas. Wouldn't surprise me. So there you go. There is our full 2026 Stanley Cup playoff / round 1 preview. So that is basically what we got going on for playoffs and predictions. A Conn Smythe, I think I'll probably just go with McKinnon because why not? He's obviously phenomenal. We're gonna do, I think, a couple of live streams. I think during the playoffs, depends on what my schedule is, what I'm doing, games and all that sort of stuff. But basically, live stream schedule coming up. I think the draft lottery is May 5th. I think that's a Tuesday. And then I think the May 6th is when I'm going to be doing another kind of podcast for teams who didn't make the playoffs and discussing like the Blackhawks and the Sharks and the Canucks and Red Wings of the world. So look out for that day after draft lottery. The Canucks earlier today just fired Patrick Allvin, which, kind of interesting. He made it a Friday morning dump instead of a Friday afternoon dump, but still a dump nevertheless. That's really the podcast. So be sure to check our socials for the next. We got some stuff coming up. We got a couple announcements coming up in early May. We're gonna be dropping some stuff. So probably right around when we're doing some draft lottery, NHL draft lottery, teams who didn't make the playoffs conversations. We're going to be doing all that. So, again, if you haven't already, you can follow me on Instagram at Ian McNaughton. You can follow SYP on Instagram at SYP Pod. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's at SYP Pod. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Tune in, listen. It's great stuff. And, don't miss out. Don't forget to tell your friends. Keep on the lookout for new stuff that we got coming out here. Maybe a live stream this week or two. We'll see. That's really the podcast. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the Stanley Cup Playoffs. We can't wait. We're excited. I know I'm excited and can't wait to share it with everybody else. That is the show today. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back again soon. Peace out.